Hey guys, hope you guys are doing very, very well. Different approach to the video this week. You guys know we be very transparent about things. Not in the best space energy wise. Mentally, I'm good, but spirit wise, when things are outside of your control, especially when it's pertaining to other people, I mean, it's outside of your control. So, you kind of got to sit back, embrace whatever it may be, and roll with it and pray on it. But let's get into the video. Hey guys, what's going on? Will here, Flawless Exotic Creations, coming to you guys with another video. Hopefully this video is not going to be super full of energy. I'm going to try though. But hopefully I can give you guys some information and insight. Even though we strive to be flawless, there's flaws in our plan. And when we come up with things, you guys are seeing us on video. We never really backtrack on anything. But you need to be able to make corrections. You need to be able to take constructive criticism. And that's not where this video is going. But the energy level is down because of what we're going through in this country. Number one, we're about to go through a snowstorm over here this weekend. But that kind of doesn't really, hold a candle even to the devastation they're facing over in LA, over in California. We have a lot of friends in California that's facing some crazy challenges. I'll let them, put out their content, but we have friends over there in this industry that's lost everything. We have friends that's lost, homes. We have friends that, are hanging on by a thread. And again, it's not for us to kind of fearmonger or put stuff out there. I'll let everyone put their individual or share their individual stories out there. But that's kind of what I'm getting to. Those things are outside of our control. We pray on it and pray for everyone's, safety. We pray for everyone's success. When we come out with these videos and we genuinely, we tell you guys that we want everyone to be successful. We genuinely mean that. We want everyone to be successful. Gonna abbreviate kind of the video layout, not a ton of edits or anything going on, but at the same time, got a very interesting, question. When we get questions or comments, we always err on the side of people want to know information. Things can be lost in translation. And, just like now, kind of in a funk because of people experiencing some hardships. And, depending on where you are in your own lives, somebody drop you a text or you read a message or you read a comment on someone else's platform or on your own. And through you reading that and not being there talking to a person or maybe even knowing a person at all, you just found somebody over the World Wide Web and they drop a message that it may be completely innocent, but for you reading it in the space, the emotional space, the mood that you're in, when you process it as being abrasive, a little rough around the edges, whatever it may be. So I'm going to err on the side of that's not it. They want the information. So we have a question, and the question was pertaining, we try to literally address everything. Someone took the time out of their day, their busy schedules. I don't know how many videos they've watched. So hopefully you guys are subscribing and sharing our content. We want to kind of build the Flawless brand, build the Flawless family up. We're a part of a lot of different communities and we want to bring everyone together. That being said, they've watched a bunch of our videos or a few of our videos, and they apparently, I guess they've been, they're vendors, and they had a honest question. It was worded a little weirdly, as you probably can see on the screen, but I'm going to answer for you guys. So to give you guys our stance, we've said this several times over. Are we pro shows, vending, or pro online? We are pro both. We are pro both. You need both. You need shows and you need online. You need person to person, peer to peer, whatever you need. On the business side, you need to grow by word of mouth, internet, you need it all. But we try to be transparent with people and telling people like, look, we're going to practice what we preach. You know, we built Flawless Crested Geckos up. We've been doing it 9 years, going on 10, but we've been doing it 9 years, full-fledged, full-time. In the first 3 years of it, we never vended a show. That's not saying that we never attended a show. We attended a lot of shows, but we never vended a show. And through getting to know different breeders and rubbing elbows with different breeders, we were welcomed into the show scene. Actually, a really good buddy of ours, Tristan Kaler, over at Gecko Junkie, you know, Gecko Overload. We there's so many names to say, to mention. Bob Vu, you know, we vended our very first show next to Bob Vu, and I sat there and picked his brain. You know, our daughter was there with us, and she was, you know, snake crazy, and she kind of started this journey down, you know, this Flawless Exotic Creations path. So you do need both, but when you're looking at it from the perspective of starting a new reptile business, we're trying to offer up any type of insight that can possibly help anyone that may be starting like we started. A lot of people are not going to be able to start their ball python business how we started it, but we tried to mirror it. It's almost literally, you know, our Flawless Crested Geckos business plan on fast forward. That's what we applied over here to Flawless Exotic Creations. But at the same time, we're trying to offer up the information as if we were starting Flawless Crested Geckos. So we are trying to transpose that information over here and offer it up just in case anyone's curious and want to kind of go down this path. Audra and myself, we were police officers. She was a deputy, sheriff's deputy. I was a police officer. I was a police officer 10 years. And starting the Crested Gecko business, you know, we did those full-time careers and we're parents of 4 kids. And I mean, it's more than a full-time job at that particular time, but obviously there was revenue. We were taking care of different responsibilities all at that time to make sure we were able to lower expenses on certain things and indulge in our hobby at the time, which we ended up spinning into a full-fledged business and walking away from the workforce. Not retiring, but walking away from the workforce. And here it is now. We're still, you know, I would say thriving. Yes, we're doing very, very well. Even on the Flawless Exotic Creation side. So I say all that is the prelude to answering this question as far as the vending shows versus online. It's simple mathematics. Anytime you're running a business, starting a business, you're always going to want to lower your expenses. That's key. Whether that means, you know, not having a mortgage, you know, okay, cool. We can have our home, whatever, and not have a mortgage. That's a huge expense not to have. But I mean, I think, you know, for sake of the example, I mean, if you have a $2,500 a month rent or mortgage on top of your daily life, month to month, year to year, that increases how much operational income and revenue you need to just survive. So if you can knock that down as a non-contender in the expenses list, it allows for you to do different things. So expenses, I talk about that on this topic because show expense versus online expense is going to be drastically different. Show expenses is going to be significantly higher when you do it right, according to our opinion. There's a lot of people that are able to go and then throw a tablecloth on the table, pay a couple $100 for, you know, a table, a booth, and be successful. We constantly make the argument and the conversation that it's 100 times harder to be a successful crested gecko breeder than it is to be a ball python breeder. And we say that with all due respect to everyone, but we're telling you guys our experience. When it comes to crested geckos, there's so much more, how do I say, care that needs to be put into the attention to detail. And that could be arguably, but photographs, whether you're going to take photographs, fire up, fire down. What are you going to take it as? You need some type of prop, like significantly to set things up, a background. You need not necessarily high-end cameras, but you got to take into consideration picture quality, your genes you're working with, your projects, how many, you got to worry about all of that on top of your customer base. Not even your customer base, let's say the customer base. And when I say the customer base, I mean the entire market as a whole, as an average. The entire market as a whole, as an average, if you're comparing, it's not apples to apples, it's apples to oranges. Okay, so if you're talking about hobby versus hobby, crested gecko as a specific species, ball pythons as a specific species, break it down to numbers, and it may sound exaggerated, it's not. You're talking about 1,000 to 1. That's your difference. That's your difference in amount of breeders to breeders. That's your difference in amount of customers to customers. So you mix all of that with the actual logistics of what needs to take place to be a successful crested gecko breeder, and mix that with ball python breeder. We've been to several different big time ball python breeder facilities, taking notes, asking questions. We've been on a ball python retreat to the Dominican Republic with Josh Jackie, Ball Python Shed, Bob Vu, picking their brains. Had an amazing time. There's actually a couple of other breeders also that's how we did a video on that. And to see how successful you are, not only through your hard work, but knowing you can pull open a tub or open an enclosure, put a snake on your hand, take a picture of it, and because of the quality of everything, the genes, it don't matter for the most part, long as it's a crystal clear picture. That's as much of the work that you're gonna have to do. You log everything in, you can go through and photograph 50 snakes in less than an hour. When you deal with ball pythons, when you deal with crested geckos, I'm telling you, we have some huge release. It took me 3 days, not 3 days in its entirety, but 3 working days. That means if I go for 18 hours and take a 6 hour to go to sleep and wake up, I may have to go for a 24 hour, whatever it may be, as far as cupping them up, firing them up, getting good pictures, get them all done. And by the time I'm done taking pictures, I still got to upload them to my MacBook and go through them and pick and choose which ones I'm going to utilize. So it's an entire different process over there, where for the ball pythons, we're still making that approach and that attempt to get really deep involved in the quality, but it still doesn't take the amount of time working with the ball pythons on the presentation level, on the genetics level. Crested geckos are far behind as far as genetics when it comes to ball pythons. I think they're the same as far as genes and morphs and everything else, as far as the way people deal with them, as far as the way things are discovered. It's the same thing, just a different species. But it's so much more work involved on this side of things because the customer base can't hold a candle to the customer base or the breeder base over here on the ball pythons. So that's part of a lot of the input and experience as far as that we're seeing as we're currently, in it. But again, at the same time, you're talking about a few $100 flipping a coin, maybe being successful. Okay, take it a little further. Go get the big banners and things that we go and do. All right, there's a lot of perks to that. There's tax write-offs for it, for your business, lighting, your setup, your trade showcases, all of the above. Now you go out there, you can spend, pretty much the sky's the limit on what you want to spend. But again, it's still an investment. Are you making any money to fold back into that business to make those investments? And all of that is for the show scene, and it's needed. It really is needed to brand yourself. But once you spend that, it's yours. You can write it off. You can do all those things, but that's going to be consistent. At the same time, while those expenses are going up, it's not necessarily guaranteed sales. You're never really guaranteed any sales. That's why I always say do both. But if you're looking for direction or insight, I would advise and urge you to actually go online first and transition to doing shows and vending. So you're able to do both. That way you can kind of take advantage of absolutely everything. We've vended a ton of shows with Crested Geckos, but our business plan is different. We make money and all that stuff, that's fine, but that's not the primary goal. We want the platform, we want the social media content, we need all of that for growth, to increase our reach. It improves our sustainability for the longevity of the business. And the same thing applies to Flawless Exotic Creations. So that's why we've never even vended with Flawless Exotic Creations. We are more so vending under the Flawless brand, the Flawless umbrella, but Flawless Crested Geckos, which has been established almost now for a decade. And again, a lot of the shows we go to, we're very in the black in that business, but at the same time, it's a general hangout. We get to get out there next to our customers, fellow vendors, see people we haven't seen for a long time. It's a tax write-off. And again, it's an expense for the business to give to our CPA. Over here on this side, when you're creating and chasing certain projects that you're working, because we're chasing them on both sides, but it's still a business startup. Business startups take years to make it literally legit profitable. We're not profitable over here, but we're set up to be profitable. You know, we tell the story on how we've moved over 200 snakes from the first season. You know, we just wrapped up the second season. We're well under 100 snakes here that's still available on the second season. I would say that's being successful, or on the road to being successful, moving that amount of snakes that's not a part of our holdbacks and progressing forward without vending any shows. What are we doing? Yes, we're moving the inventory. You're getting snakes into the hands of people that can use those combinations. At the same time, every sale, every contact, every inquiry, you're increasing your brand acknowledgement, you know, your brand notoriety, and you're getting more and more involved in the industry. So at some point, 5, 6, 7 years in, you know, someone's mentioning, we speaking with Edge of Panic, Jose. We were on an interview with him, and he's getting into Crested Geckos. He has a few, and he's in California. And again, this kind of brings things full circle, but we talked in depth about Crested Geckos and the genes and things that he was interested in, and he brought it to our attention that the people that he ended up getting Crested Geckos from, that the lineage all dated back to us at Flawless Crested Geckos. We keep lineage, we keep track of everything. So that was kind of cool to know that we're reaching all the way out on the West Coast, which we already knew. We've dealt with several customers on the West. We deal with international customers. Another thing, you know, on the Crested Gecko side, because you don't need CITES for Crested Geckos. So we've shipped geckos all over the world. Ball pythons, you're going to need CITES. So that kind of helps things. Moving those availability and not being necessarily forced to vend is, I think, a benefit. And it's literally a lot of legwork. You take control of your social media. You pay the expense, whatever you're dealing with Morph Market or any online platform that you're working with. That's an expense, yes, on the online side. But that's minimum expense for the entire year on what you want to deal with as far as opening and running an operation as far as your business goes. So when you have it online, you're going to face whatever those fees are that corresponds with whatever platform you're on, whatever your shipping expenses are. And typically your customer is paying the shipping costs. So that's fine as well. And you make sure you order your shipping supplies. And typically, yeah, you may front the money for your shipping supplies, but that's included in your shipping charge that your customer pays in the long run over that length of time. So overall, your general expenses for starting 100% full-fledged online business is going to be far less than vending expenses. Now, where do you make that transition? You do these things, you do things in order where your business or yourself can withstand whatever the expense may be. So if your personal life can withstand $1,000 expense every single month, and you still can personally grow, your own personal net worth or wealth or income, whatever it may be, and you comfortably can do that, then you can vend a show every month. And it doesn't matter whether you sell a single snake or not, and you're going to be smiles ear to ear. It doesn't matter whether you had 0 sales or 100 sales. It just is what it is, because even the shows that you vend that you don't make any money, they have value. They have value. They have, you may close sales afterwards. You may make contact with people where, they may hit you up because they seen you at a show and they seen the project you were working with and they knew nothing about you, and now you're on their radar. So they have a lot of value. But all I'm saying is the most bang for your buck is going to be online first and then transition to the show scene. Or you're going to do the show scene, and the expense of what it's taking you to do your business startup is completely irrelevant to your bottom line. And in most businesses, that's not the case. So hopefully that kind of clears the air and answers that kind of question. We've gotten it once before. I thought we answered it. But yes, we're pro both. We love to vend. We love our online side of things. Is everything we do and the way we move, it has to be about sustainability and longevity for the business and the brand. You have to respect your own business. There's so many different variables to being online. There's so many different variables to being a vendor. They're both going to have their pros and cons. I say for our sales, we're always going to do both. We're never going to be one-dimensional permanently. We're one-dimensional as far as what Flawless Exotic Creations right now, because all we're trying to do with these videos, we're showing you our unboxings. Go over, check out our unboxings when we got started. Go down that rabbit hole. See some of the jeans that we started off with picking up. See some of the jeans in our What's in the Box series that we're producing, from season 1 and 2. Binge watch some of that stuff because it'll show you kind of some of the groundwork on where we're heading in our projects. All of that is a part of the game plan to hopefully spark the demand, the wanting of certain jeans, certain combos from us possibly. And then now it's on us to produce the supply. Simple business, supply and demand. You would like for, same thing I say about starting a business is, you would like for people to kind of show off things they're working with, or show off things they have in their collection before you necessarily have something to sell. Because generally speaking, it's like someone knocking on your door and soliciting. No one wants to, I don't believe, no one wants to just deal with solicitation all day long. But, social media is a part. If you're running a business, you have to solicit. But if you already have a strong following and people know that you're genuine from the very get-go, there's going to be a different interaction there. When you check us out on Instagram, our post is never truly about, hey, we have this for sale, we have this for sale, this is available, this is available. We'll sprinkle that in here and there. But Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff, and here literally is 90%. Check out this beautiful, cool snake that we have the luxury and the blessing to own and work with. Then the 10 to 15% is, by the way, we have this available. And then you basically leave it in the customer's hands where they're intrigued or it's already been on their list to pick up something. And then also by you providing so much content like this, sometimes people are like, hey, I'm already deep in the hobby. I'm completely swallowed up by ball pythons. And at this point, we appreciate you so much that we just want a piece of the Flawless fam in our collection. That's cool too. So hopefully you guys are doing very well. Again, pray for California LA area. They're going through some really, really tough and trying times. Keep us in mind over the weekend. We're going to be dealing with a pretty bad storm, apparently. And it's Will. Flawless is out of creations, and we out.